the good, the bad, and thinking makes it so. What if there's no bad? What if there's no good? What if it just is?
Like some things you first have to feel so you can understand them. First, you maybe hear it, but with the experience, you will know.
Life itself is simple. Money itself is simple. Business itself is simple.
Yeah.
Intuition itself is simple. Every single aspect in our life has been overcomplicated.
Lebst du schon, wer du wirklich bist? Willkommen zu The True Me Podcast. Wir sprechen hier über alles, was dich aus dem Gefühl der Überforderung und des Feststeckens zu einer klaren Vision und Aligned Action bringt. Mein Name ist Tiffany und ich begleite dich auf deiner Reise zu deinem True Me, denn dort wartet Freiheit, Leichtigkeit und Erfüllung auf dich. Welcome, my loves, to another episode. Actually, the second one in English. I'm really excited because I feel like I step into another version of myself if I speak English. And today I have, again, a very special guest to me, because I like to give you the access to people who inspire me. They changed my life. A lot of them became friends, as the one that I invited today. She's one of the most inspiring women I ever met. We have a really special bond, although we didn't meet that many times, but it was like from the first time we saw each other, it was a match, and we actually didn't see each other for 6 months, and now we met again in Dubai. That's also why we have another setup, but I was like, we're both in Dubai, we're at the same place, so we're going to do a podcast. And actually, I don't know how to tell you who she is and what she's doing, because that's her magic. We discussed that we would say she's like a business alchemist. She's like a mentor for leadership, but in a very, very special way. I will tell one story when we start now, so you understand what she's doing. But what fascinates me about her is how light she is with her business, how light she is with her life. Everything seems fun and intuition, and she always has the craziest things happening in her life. We just were yesterday in the desert at the random thing. No one knows why we ended up there, and that's actually her life. So just to have a little feeling about her. So I'm saying, welcome, my love, Liza, and welcome to the True Me podcast.
Thank you for having me and having such a beautiful introduction. I almost teared up already. So I'm like, great, it's a good start. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm so excited you're here, and I'm happy we made it, because actually tonight you're flying out.
Yes.
And I think that describes you really well, right? If people try to know where you are, what you're doing, it's really hard. So how would you describe yourself? How would you explain people who you are?
I think it's so funny. I literally recently talked about this with someone I just met. And I think for me, it's definitely difficult for myself to put myself in any kind of box, because you can ask me any question, I will find an answer, because I feel I've been so privileged in my life and so courageous as well to take the chances and take on different, roles in my life. Was never afraid to adventure and experience. And I think because of that, I can say so much in so many different areas. And like, someone is going to ask me a question, I'm like, oh yeah, I did this and that year. And I'm like, how old are you again? So I think if I were to describe myself, I think I can only say that I am a true lover of life. I can describe my values. I think because my actions and who I am and what I do, I think are always based on that.
Yeah.
And my voice is going. It's cracking.
That's always when you speak your truth. It's
Yes. So I think it's about trust. So I think I breathe in trust and breathe it out as well.
You do. Yeah.
I am a woman of integrity. So if I say something, I mean it 100% with every cell of my being, because if not, I wouldn't say it. And I think this is something also that is very much describing me.
Yeah.
It's describing my business as well. It's describing how I built something in my business in the last years.
Yeah.
Does that give you a little bit of a frame of who I am? Because I think I am good in giving a frame, but I can't give you like this. This is the description of who I am.
Yeah.
So yes, business alchemist, life alchemist means taking what you got and really putting in the magic.
Yeah.
And like transmuting it into magic.
Yeah. Before we started, we had like this little chat about how should we explain who you are. And I think what is so beautiful in our dynamic, or in general, what's also one of your biggest gifts, and I think also mine for other people, that's why we're holding spaces, is seeing what's natural for the other one.
Right.
And this is always the magic, and it's so hard for ourselves to see what's natural for us. You just told me 2 days ago what's natural for me. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And before we started, you were like, when we met in Stuttgart, when you had your event, afterwards I told you, wow, all these people just booked the event and no one knew what will happen. Like, there was not really a topic. There was not really, oh, this is an event for growing your business. This is an event for self-love. In this event, you will go from here to here. So I told you they just booked because they felt it, and they wanted to be in your space. And I think that's what describes how you do your business. And that's also why I think you make new rules for how business goes. And that's something I want to get into today, like where you're breaking the rules and why it works for you, and what you think is maybe a new way of making business.
Yeah, I think it was the reason why I brought it up earlier as well, is because I bring this up very often with other people, because I think by you reflecting me and the way that this event kind of went, it showed me that the way that I do things, that it's not normal.
Yeah.
And for me, it's so ingrained in who I am. It's like, that's normal, right? And it's not. So I think you bringing this up, it really did help me to see it. And in this event, I do have to say, there was a frame. Again, I give a frame.
Yeah.
I give a frame, and I think that's what I also ultimately always teach. We have to have a frame, and usually it starts with our inner frame. What I mean by this is the inner stability, the inner structure, the inner world, that it's so stable and so, because if not, like, we're just like, we can't trust, obviously. Yeah. And so I think with this, it's the same. So they know I'm holding a very tight structure. Yeah. And a very, like, the frame is very clear. Like, it was called ego hacking, I remember. Ego hacking.
You see,
summit.
I don't even remember because it was just a beautiful event. So I didn't even know what was the topic.
Yeah, and I still get messages about it. And I think it's so funny when we ask, like, what's your intention here? Oh, I just felt it, like one after another. And I'm like, wow. And then just having you reflect on this and like sharing this would have never happened in like one of our events. And I'm like, oh. Like, yeah, they just came because you always talk about intuition, and they're already kind of tapped in. And I think this is what it was so beautiful. So thank you for reflecting that back to me and sharing. Yeah.
You talked now about that strong inner frame, and I think that is something that makes you extraordinary. Like, when people meet you, you're not only confident, but you're like, you're there. Mm-hmm. You're with yourself, you know what you're doing. But the base is trust, right? So for people who maybe don't have that skill, who don't really know how to get there, what would you say are steps for people to really have that inner frame? I maybe also call it the inner masculine frame, so everything else can flow, right? The masculine frame, so you flow in your feminine. How do you get there?
Yeah. I think trust is sometimes overcomplicated. I think in anything, like you shared also a little bit about me about lightness.
Yeah.
I think I just believe that most of every single thing, every single aspect in our life has been overcomplicated. So life itself is simple. Money itself is simple. Business itself is simple.
Yeah.
Living itself is simple. Intuition itself is simple. And the same is inner masculine itself, and trust is simple.
Yeah.
However, we believe there must be a special trick, and there must be something that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's just about understanding that you don't have to be like a trickster to get it. You don't have to be very extra special to get it. You just have to be aware enough. And I think even now, just listening to this, it's opening up that awareness to start. And with trust, and I think confidence, you shared confidence, and I think in Latin it's like confidere, so it's with trust. So everything, like confidence comes from inner trust. Yeah. And I think one is I grew up in a household where this muscle was trained early on. So this gives me an advantage. I know this. Yeah. But also it gives me the awareness that I was able to train it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't always trusting all the time, every step. I'm still not trusting every single step, but it's every single time I know that I am learning to trust. So whenever there's something scary, whenever there's something unknown, whenever there's something that I have never done before, of course, how should I trust, right? But it's about, because I have had so many evidences, so much proof that I can trust myself, that it's built up that muscle. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say I think everyone has trust. We just haven't seen it maybe. Maybe you are someone who just hasn't seen it yet. Yeah. But it's there, it's just quiet. And now it's about training. So I talked a lot about muscles. So just think about it, go to the gym. At the beginning, we're not maybe having the muscles yet. But if we continuously embracing the muscle of trust, it will grow. And if we then also consciously, so I also work a lot with the subconscious mind, I work a lot with the quote unquote mindset work, but I will take it deeper. So I love neuroscience, I love to geek myself into topics. And I think with that being said, I think for me it's yes, embracing that, embodying it. So embracing every challenge, embracing every adventure, embracing every unknown, the discomfort, but also making that mental note of oh, I learned how to trust through this, so that the whole cycle is moving, and not just the mind is making that connection with affirmation. I trust myself. If it's not backed up with action, it's not going to be embodied, and it's not going to be sustainable. So I think that's also where I would say, in order to build trust, in order to build this healthy inner structure, inner masculine, I think it's about knowing where you may be unsure, knowing where you maybe doubt yourself, and then embracing it regardless. And sometimes we fall, and that's okay. But it's about understanding that there is this edge, and we need to get over it. But also don't. I would say one recommendation as well is, you don't have to jump all the way. It's one step at a time. Trust is built over millions of tiny little steps. So it doesn't have to be this one big leap. It's fun. You can leap, and it's fun. But if you have not, let's say, the emotional capacity to hold yourself in an unknown space, then why would you do this? That's unsafe. It's not. That's not the point. So rather just do the little tiny steps, if that makes sense.
Because with this tiny little steps, also your nervous system can learn to hold anxiety, fear, new things, new surroundings, new impressions. And I think that's the biggest problem, that people want to go from 0 to 100, but they're not willing to go from 0 to 1. So they're okay, I will give up my whole life, move to another city, or go all in my business, and I will directly leave my 9 to 5. Okay, but are you ready to hold all of that? And most of the time not, and that's why they're in freeze mode, right? And having these small things and these small actions is where it goes. And I think that's also what your life is reflecting, or why we also connected very fast, because we both like to do things.
Yes.
We want to
I love
get
it.
shit done. Like,
100%.
I want to move there, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
We're saying, let's go to the desert, we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's also what you said earlier, integrity. Integrity to yourself and integrity to others.
Yeah.
Not thinking about things, not saying, oh, I'm going to do this and telling everyone what you maybe want to do. No one takes you serious.
Yeah.
And especially you yourself don't take you serious, right?
Yeah.
Your brain is like, oh yeah, she's talking. Like a friend that's just saying what they want to do, or
Right.
what they promise you. So what would be, in your opinion, small steps? Or let's go into your business. When you're a mentor, so when people come to you, often it's also connected with business, right?
Right.
So what are the things that you tell them, like the small steps that you said? So let's say someone's coming to you and tell you, I have this business and it's like slowly going, or not really, or maybe they even just do it on the side. So how do you help them, or what advice you give to them that they build these small steps and this inner frame?
Well, I think my business is very individualized, so very much like I'm zooming into every single thing. I said to you, like, I'm a geek, so I get to understand how they think.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all about, I need to understand, like I have an emotional map when I talk with someone, like I know where they're coming from. So I think this is another thing about my work. So I want to give you like a very broad tips, like 3 tips and but I think it's very difficult, because most of the people that come to me, they have a certain level of awareness. They have a certain level of evolution that they've been through. They've done a lot of inner work already. But I think it's exposure. So I have 0 tolerance of playing small. And I have 0 tolerance of people just being in limbo all the time.
What does that mean?
Being in limbo?
Yeah.
It means to not go for it.
Just like going here and there and a little, and like, okay, I see.
Neschwebe. Yeah. So being in limbo, it's not that I don't have 0 tolerance, but I don't.
Yeah.
So it's like this, I'm very like, you do you, right? But here it is. So and the reason why I'm saying it as well is like I've been so honored to work with very incredible people who get it.
Yeah.
Because the way that I work is so intimately that I also only work with very selective, like I'm very selective who I work with.
Yeah.
Because I don't have capacity, and I don't want to work with anyone who doesn't want to go for it.
Yeah.
I feel like right now we are in a state of humanity where we need change, and we need people to step up.
Yeah.
We need people to be rising above their ego.
Yeah.
And to go all in. And if that's not someone who can't match that, that's okay. But it's like not my client. So coming back to how would I teach trust? And I think in the example that you gave me, person comes, has a side hustle, starts the side hustle, is a bit unsure. Again, some information kind of missing, like are they insecure about showing up online? Are they insecure about which offer to go for? I think it's first to connect them to their intuition and connect them to their inner gut feeling.
Yeah.
To the feeling of, oh, this gives me contentment. This gives me peace and calmness in my system. And then out of that state, creating the next action. So I think I'm going to, like, the step before even building trust is, what's the action based on? So the system of the client, I'm not just trying, that's my work. It's like getting them in a state of, am I in my heart space or am I in my ego? Am I trying to be someone else in order to get this done, to get this mission out, to create content, to impact other people? Or am I coming from a pure place of, this is my purpose. I am here because of that. I'm the passenger of this. I'm like sitting here and I go, I need to get this done. And there's no stopping.
Yeah.
And I've met so many on the mind side. And that's, I mean, we've programmed to be that.
Yeah.
We have been training to be that. And we continue to train to be that if we're not breaking that pattern. So my work comes in that, breaking that pattern, bringing them back into the heart coherence, and bringing them back to that feeling. Once that system then is kind of like understanding, oh, this is my heart voice, that's when we create the next small step towards, let's say that person is like, oh, I'm afraid of like showing up online. I don't know if that's my message. It's like clarifying the message. And then again, clarifying the message based on who you are versus who you think you need to be. So it's always this dance, and then, okay, cool. You got the message now. You are who you, like, it's you. So then the next step would be, okay, how do you like to, let's say, go online? Yeah, well, I would like to do a podcast, but I don't know if anyone would listen to it. Or should I hire someone? Should I have it's like all these little tiny steps, again, to check in, like what gives you the biggest expansion? Because the biggest expansion within you will create the biggest expansion outside of you. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
So it's like with a little baby in a way of like one step, like you fall, okay, great. We'll learn again. So trust is the little tiny steps. And if that's like when I apply it to my life with this the hotel idea, knowing that I have zero idea what I'm doing, this needs to be like, that's true. I've never done this before.
So Lisa wants to build a hotel, like or you can say some things about
physical
that.
Spaces, yes. And not just one, but like multiple. And like I have this whole 10-year vision and beyond. And I've met many incredible people because of that, because I'm putting it out there and I am sharing the mission. And yet I'm still not where I want to be. And I'm still not clear enough to say this is it. But the small little stages of this evolution, because who knows, maybe I'm going to collaborate with someone with physical spaces. I don't know. Maybe this is going to be birthed. Who knows? Like, but I've planted the intention. And then I'm like, okay, well, what else? What do I need to do now? What can I do right now? With the resources that I have right now, what can I do now? And that led me to different meetings, different conversations. It led me to different countries. It led me to hiring an inspection firm, visiting different properties, and doing the small steps. Like, okay, what's the next step that I can do with the resources that I have?
I want to quickly go back to one thing, because that's a question I think that pops up a lot.
Okay.
So how do I know if it's my heart voice, if I'm in my heart space, or if I'm in my ego space?
Can I do an advertisement? I have a program for that.
Of course. You can advertise everything. I know everyone who works with you will be great, so advertise as much as you want.
No, but I do have that's what I relentlessly talk about, religiously, all the frigging time. But yes, I might even give you like a PDF or something that you can share, whatever. Sure. So I think the heart voice and the mind voice, I love them both. First thing is, love them both. First step. True you, like true me, your podcast, and you have been in the self-love space for ages. This is the most important space. Like you have to start first loving both. There's nothing wrong with your mind and there's nothing wrong with your heart. The mind, though, is like, no, we're not going to listen to the heart because it's just like all fluffy. No, it's not, but okay. Same goes with the heart. It's like, the mind, even though the heart isn't that. But it's still like we have sometimes these perceptions of this is good, this is bad. But only thinking makes it so. So come to a neutral standpoint of like both is very valuable. this helps you actually transition more into the heart space. And the reason why I also always bring this in is because I work a lot with energy as well, with vibrations, frequencies. And if we have been diving into the quantum physics, which we're not going to go into depth today, but this is also a lot what I teach, and like the basic knowledge that I kind of give, so that people understand it, because it has a lot to do again with the heart voice and the mind voice. When we look at quantum physics and see the heart space is much bigger than the mind space. So that's something to just understand in the way of like, oh, why am I not attracting this? Blah, 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 blah. Because the mind doesn't have the same width than the heart. And also not the same depth. So vibrationally speaking, it's so much smarter to listen to your heart. Just vibrationally speaking, energetically speaking, quantum physically speaking. And there's an institute called Heart Math from California, so I would highly recommend just going into some research there. You will understand it then. So that's one thing. The second part is like, okay, so now usually with decision making, the heart voice and the mind voice is very easily to like differentiate. And so I think I usually always bring in like, okay, just jot down 3 big major decisions that you had to make in your life and feel into how they made you feel, like the decision-making process. So sometimes it feels very expanding. Sometimes it feels like, I can't make that decision. Or sometimes you felt very good with something, and then you started going up in the mind, A, B, going back and forth, and it creates this resistance within you. So I always try to explain it in a way of like the heart space is bringing more calmness into your system. It brings more openness into your system. It brings more contentment. I wouldn't say stillness, but a very clear voice. It's just one voice. That's one of the major differentiations as well. The mind has 2 voices. The heart, or multiple voices.
Yeah, it feels like there are a lot of people sitting here and speaking, and like just like
exactly,
one is screaming this and the other one is screaming this, right? It's like really loud, right? And the other one is here really calm and like clear, and it's one, maybe sometimes only just one sentence that everything's based on.
And so there's the difference as well. So there's this, you can write like a whole table, like what's different, but like the feeling, the sensation is different in your body. It's going to be different. And then the voices, so the heart has just one and the mind has so many. And that's why I'm always saying there's a voice and that's noise. That's the difference.
Voice and noise. I love that.
And so then we can already categorize a little bit of like, oh, wait, this is actually my mind speaking. And the mind also wants to make very rushed decisions. The thinking is very short term, versus the heart space is very wide and thinks about the long term vision. So that's also something. And also to remember, like I'm bringing in different examples because also as you're listening to this, I'm always trying to have a little bit of a transmission or activation within the way that I speak and what I share. And I think it's also to already now anchor that in, because the mind, we always say, well, the mind doesn't want you, like, it always wants to keep you safe. But remember the heart as well. Why would the heart want you to die? You know, there's no purpose for it. And so I think that's intuition will not lead you on the freaking street outside there. It's not going to let you there. Intuition will move you to places that are uncomfortable and that are unknown. So therefore you feel unsafe in a moment. But that doesn't mean that out of a sudden this is the mind. Like it's a little bit confusing sometimes, because we think as soon as we do something uncomfortable, we are in our ego. No, that's not. Sometimes it's uncomfortable and we are in our heart space, but that's when we have to step up and we have to again embrace that in order to build the trust, build the inner masculine, build the safety within. When
I remember last year, and we also met last year for coffee when I was exactly in this phase, right? So we were actually talking about that, and I remember so well how it was like my inner was so loud. It was so loud since such a long time. Here, this voice was so clear. It was like, move out of Germany. I mean, I was there since 12 years, actually, if I'm honest, right? This was all the time there. But then the mind, but this, but you can't, and this is, and then also like, yeah, you should leave your company. You don't feel it anymore. And then I was like, but I can't. What if the others? And like, I will leave them. And blah, blah, blah. So I can really relate to that. I was always here coming something like, oh, that would make me feel, oh. And then it was like, and then you can't. And then it was again like, I can't breathe. And I think also when we met, when we were sitting there, it was just like I was in the middle of that process.
Yeah.
Maybe you can also share how it was for you. I think that's a perfect example of what you said. Do you see a difference, or do you feel a difference? Like, I mean, we didn't see each other for 6 months now. How was it for you to see that? I mean, I was not your client, I was your friend, but still, it was like you were seeing that and you were feeling that. Like, what difference do you see? What do you feel is different?
One thing that you also right now just shared so beautifully is it was a permanent feeling for you to move out. It's also another thing that you can add to the list of the heart voice. It's like it's not changing a lot.
Yeah, it's like it's right down there. It's always in the corner in a way. Yeah.
So even though you wanted to do it 12 years ago, but you can see how the mind again is short-term thinking.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this is now exciting. This is da 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 da. So for 12 years, it's keeping you somewhere where you inherently didn't want to be, yet you were there, and that's perfect. But this maybe is also important for everyone listening, because who hasn't been in that space, right?
Totally.
So definitely the heart space is very permanent in where it's going. It's not going to be dramatically changing.
What the mind does, right? One's like, oh, I should do this, and no, you can't. Like, the mind is changing in seconds, right?
Yeah, it's like there is a destination you are moving towards, and there's a pull that you're moving towards, and that's when the heart, when it's activated, it's also actively magnetizing a lot of things that help you move faster to that goal, or to that, I don't know, milestone, destination, whatever, journey. Yeah. But like, coming back to your question, seeing you this time around and seeing you last time, it was end of October.
It was right before I was moving to Bali, right? It was like a few weeks.
Yeah. Well, I think I kind of also the conversation that we had when you went to some other place, when we talked over the phone, I think this is kind of like, a golden thread, essentially, right? And I think the evolution, seeing you in your evolution to liberating yourself more and more, has been very beautiful to watch. And also it's been so nice to be able to give you advice on it. And I think the difference is definitely you seem calmer and more decisive. I think before I would probably say you were confused. What is yours? What's not yours? What's true for you? What's not true for you? In a way, that makes sense. I think that's the phone call, and then also when I saw you, still the same kind of energy around it, like what's right for me, what's not right for me. Is this right? That not clearly being able to see if like the traffic light is green or red, in a way, if that makes sense. This is kind of what I felt then, if you ask me like this. And I'd say now, like seeing you now, it's like it's a whole different you, and it's not different at all. So I think it's more anchored in that you do know who you are, and you do know what's right for you. And that feels much more integrated in yourself.
Totally. And I think that's so important to put that up, because that's only a few months, right? Like, I think showing that this doesn't need like a big,
You know.
like years or something like that. So it's decisions, deciding what your heart says, and you will not know. I didn't know we will be in Dubai a few months later and we will record this podcast, right?
Yeah.
So just everything came up. You did so many things in your life, and I think it will be really interesting to maybe first, so getting a little more personal into your life. It's like we could make a movie out of every week that you're living, I think. we would need to do like how you say that, like a live show, like a documentary of every week from you. It would be
Honestly, I would love to do a documentary at some point.
Yeah, you need to. But normally you need someone who just follows you around.
That was my intention 2023, actually. I had a videographer flying with me. But yeah, different story for a different day.
So take us into Lisa's life. Like, what does your life look now? Like, I mean, now you moved to Dubai. It's like the first time like you settled in a way, but like the last years, you're now 30, we're the same age. So just put us into this crazy world of Liza. How is she living?
How's she living now? How's she been living?
I would say like maybe the last 5 years and now, because I think it's still a little different.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So maybe the last 5 years, and then what changed now?
Okay. Wow. Sometimes there are days in my journal where I am writing down 1st of March, 2nd of March, 3rd, and I'm writing 3 points that I can remember what I did. So I think one thing about my life, it's very fast paced.
Yeah.
And it needs a lot of my own discipline to slow down. Because I'm so heart open. I'm so open for experiences.
Yes.
So I think this is something that I still am learning. Some weeks are better than others. And I think, so 5 years ago, 5 years ago I finished 6 years ago I finished my master's and my MBA. And I traveled the world. I started traveling the world. That was my intention. Wanted to start a business. I already started some other businesses before, just like for fun during studying. I've been always interested in like just experiencing different things. Maybe that is also important. I don't know. Already during my studies, I already then moved abroad. So I have been living in Germany for probably 9 years soon. So I've been constantly traveling in a way of like, but not as excessive as the last years. It's been more like every 5 to 6 months I would move. And usually because of some sort of a mission, if that's a semester abroad, if that's a different city to experience.
Yeah.
Yes. But then when I started my business, I kind of I was stuck in New Zealand and didn't I find that was the perfect time to start a business, right? Because I was finally settled. So again, because I'm so on the go, it's sometimes difficult to not to get shit done, but to be focused enough to do it to the whole
loop.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say I think this is a good picture, because I think you're there to open loops, but you're not really there to close them. But I think that's sometimes really also exhausting, right? You start so many loops and maybe other ones close them, but which one you should close and which one it's fine that they stay open, right?
What do you mean by this?
What I'm seeing is you also open loops for other people, right? This is something that you do.
Work.
Or sometimes maybe when you were in New Zealand, for example, that was a loop you opened, but you didn't really close it, because it's like not, you lived there 3 years and you did everything you want. You know, people are moving abroad and then they stay there for years and they say, now I feel like I saw everything, I did everything, now it's closed, now I go. But I feel like you often go when it's only like half of the loop, because it's fine, because you're so quick with changing and now there's another opportunity there. and now I go there, or now I do this business.
Yeah.
And as you said, I think it's a really good thing, but maybe also sometimes, like, where do I want to slow down and where do I want to close the loop?
Yeah.
But I think this, especially in your 20s, I think this is a time
where
you should not close every loop.
Yes. And I think, so I'm going to try to say it in my own words, because I think the loops, for me, they're quite complete in most of my journeys.
Oh, that's interesting, because for you they're closed, but maybe for people who are seeing you or for other people in their lives, it is not closed. Yeah, these are two different things.
Yeah. So for me, and I think that's very often the case, and I think that's why I would never recommend my life to anyone if they don't have the same kind of like mental stability and emotional stability and whatsoever. But like, I think for me, I do close them. And sometimes, yes, as you said, some things are there to remain open until the right time. I'm not forcing time to close it. I think this is the next thing. Being in tune does also mean understanding timing and not forcing things to happen.
Yeah.
So I think
because we want to close it now. This is now the next step. It has to happen now.
Yeah, and that's just not my life.
Yeah.
Like it's not life.
Yeah.
We're not meant to force things.
Yeah.
And now I have to be this. What I'm good at is like I can sense timing, so I do put things in my agenda in a way. Have deadlines and all the things. If not, I would have probably not survived uni and anything like living like this. I need to have a good structure. I need deadlines. I need I'm very good with that. And if you looking into my spreadsheets, you're like, holy shit, she's actually organized. Like from the outside, some people, I remember this as well with my team once. I showed them, so my very first program was called True Self Blueprint. So this was the very first program I did, and so many clients I went through this. It's like the best program ever, and walked them through so many things. Anyways, not important. But my team, so I showed them, and they're like, "You did that?" I'm like, "Yeah." But that's so organized. I'm like, "I am organized."
Yeah.
So if we were asking people, like friends of mine from, let's say, until uni, they'd be like, she's the most organized German person you will know. Like that's true.
Yeah.
I'm very organized. I'm very much like, I have my shit together. And then also, there's this other side of me where someone would say like, you are the person who is like, the shit together, but not at all. And that's what I like about myself. It's like, I'm here to play, but I know my boundaries. And I know when I need to like stop, when I need to watch the roses, smell the roses, have fun. And I think that's also important. So coming back to the looping part, here we are.
Yeah,
looping
here we
back.
are. So we need to go back into life. I just want to say one more thing, because I think it's so important what you just said. Because I feel like people who want to live more in their intuition and like follow that more, they feel like they don't have to be organized and they don't have to be structured. And I think that's such an important point.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you have. You have to know what's going on. And then you can use the intuition. But I see so many people like, just see and maybe. And I know that's not intuition.
No.
That's like not taking responsibility for your life.
Yeah, intuition is pretty much about responsibility.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's like 100% responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
I'm the only one who can really have an impact.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, now let's go back into your life. So you were in uni and then you started to...
can I add one
you were
thing?
in New Zealand and then you started a business.
Yeah, can I add one thing to the intuition part?
Please, yes.
Because I think there's no then or that. I think intuition is just, again, it's like a different way to maybe say heart voice or gut feeling or something like this. It's not the same as impulses. Impulses are based on emotions. Intuition isn't.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
So with that, I would say I always trusted my intuition first before anything else. Not always. that's wrong. But that's what I've been training myself for. And I think responsibility or structure has nothing to do with heart voice or mind voice. It's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
And too many, again, we're mingling we're putting everything in one pot.
It's what you said in the beginning. We're overcomplicating things.
Yes.
Like, I'm following my intuition, but it doesn't have to do anything with like, I know what's going on in my life. Like,
different things. And I think, so it would be nice to like, just like, what do you mean by this? Like even asking, like, that's good for you guys as well. It's like truly maybe taking these things a little bit apart for now before they can again come together. Because when I have talked with so many people online, and always hurts my heart in a way, they just simply believe something they read online. That's inspirational quote, oh, this is the truth.
yeah.
And there's no healthy filter system. So if you're listening to this, have a healthy filter system. You don't have to believe anything that we're saying.
Yeah.
Like, this is ownership.
And you shouldn't.
Exactly. It's about understanding this, understanding that, again, voice, so that then you can actually, build the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
That's just a little tiny bit on that. I think just also understanding this has nothing to do with intuition. That's just like the quote unquote, because I don't like to put on these weird labels, but this is toxic feminine against toxic masculine.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why don't we just come together? It's the same what I said with love your mind because it's so brilliant, and love your heart because it's so brilliant. And if they actually work together in harmony and coherence, then you're unstoppable. And also with intuition, I'm going to bring this, and then I'm going back to that. I'm a nerd when it comes to words as well. I love languages. So I learned, like, have all the things in Latin as well. So intuition, I always kind of separate them. Inner tuition. So I pay tuition for my school. So now it's time for me to pay intuition to my inner world.
Yeah.
So intuition is nothing more than paying attention to what's going on inside of you, and hearing and loudening, or like if that, like instead putting the volume up of your intuition, of your gut feeling, of your heart feeling, voice. So that's kind of what it was that I wanted to add. And coming back to, starting my business in New Zealand, then moving kind of across the world to Norway. We had a base there, me and my ex-boyfriend. And from there, we also traveled the world while building. And then after we separated, after, 5-6 years, in 2022, I think that's when like the real craziness actually started with me being a free bird. I moved to South Africa for 3 months. And then, I don't even know how to say this, but I've lived in so many different countries in a year that, yes, it's been exhausting at times.
Yeah.
That now I have a base, which is very calming and grounding, and it's different to me.
Yeah.
It's a very different feeling, and I'm still adjusting, I guess. So a day in my life, or the way that I used to live, is very much like knowing what's on my agenda. So I always say when it's not on my agenda, I will forget. It's not priority.
Yeah.
So I have my, of course, things that I want to know or want to do. So I want to do. And then that's usually when I check in with myself. What do I feel like? Do I want to go to park? Do I want to go swim in the ocean? What do I feel like? That's what my morning routine would be. Like the first thing is asking myself what I need to do. What do I need to do for myself right now? I've built a business in a way that I don't have any calls before 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. So that the whole morning is for me.
And I think that's so important. Like, we get trained, I also had to learn that we get trained in the morning, you're the most productive, so you should do meetings from 8 to 11. And then how should you be able to listen to yourself in the afternoon, create your things, take care about yourself? Either if you're not like waking up at 5 a.m., let's put that to the side. But I also changed that. Like in the morning, I take time for myself and I do the things that I have to do, and all my meetings are in the afternoon. Yeah. And that changed the whole game of my business, because in the afternoon I was so full of everyone else. How should I get back to myself?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is still the most productive time in a way.
Yeah.
But also it's the most creative time because of our brainwaves.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we wake up, our brainwaves are very different than in the afternoon. So knowing this consciously, we can use it to our advantage. So I have for a very long time now didn't use my phone in the mornings and stuff like this, like very religiously going through little of my protocols type of thing, where I would be very much mindful of don't put anything inside of me that's not mine.
I love that.
So this is for my output.
Yeah.
Like every mornings are output. And afternoons are for input. So for me, I love working. I love calls. I love this. So I love my work. I'm not afraid to like put in the hours. So if I have and also I have structured days. So I would also have maybe 5 calls a day or 6 or 7, if that feels good for me. I have a lot of energy, so I can definitely do
you have a lot.
So for example, I would then do my calls, but probably later 6 p.m. No, probably 5 p.m.
So you're done at around 6, right?
Yeah. Unless I have calls, depending on where I am, right? So sometimes if I lived in Canada, which I've done, had a call with someone in New Zealand, definitely I would be up at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. So sometimes my own rules don't apply. So I have to make up new rules, but this is my passion, this is my purpose. So I have to find a different routine for myself. So I think it's finding this routine, and a routine can be 5 minutes or 5 hours. Like if I have the luxury of 5 hours, cool, great, I will do it. But that's not always a given.
And also not always needed, right?
Exactly.
There are days where we maybe need the 5 hours, but some days it's like fine if we have like 10 minutes.
Yeah, especially when I'm also with other people, when I'm with clients. For me, it's just like, okay, I just need to just check in with myself, see what I need, and that's what I communicate, and that's what it is. So so finding a good rhythm for me was very important, especially in a time of a lot of travel. And a lot of I think the craziest time was probably, 2022 was crazy. It was a lot of business growth. A lot of people started working for me. Had so many clients in courses and stuff. And then 2023 was also crazy because I've been traveling so much. I've been traveling to many different events. I hosted many retreats. And then it's just following the flow. I want to maybe bring an example because you asked me about my personal life and business as well. So I remember this so vividly. It was probably maybe September. So I have this coaching certification, the Soulful Leader, and we had this 1-year event. And so let's say it was happening end of October. And I had met people previously then in that year, this whole running community, and I just loved running, and I love running. And there was this major run mid-October, and then there was this major other run in September. And I wasn't in Germany, and we had to we kind of had decided to do it in Germany, the event, because most people came from Germany, but Switzerland and Austria. So the thing about this is, and maybe that comes back to structure, inner masculine, and intuition. I said that, I picked the location, and I picked it in my hometown, which is a tiny little village. I celebrate my 16th birthday there, right? But it's not like a tennis hall or something. But it's actually a nice one. So lots of windows, white, and the colors that you kind of want. And I remember I picked it because I knew I have a whole support system around it. I could count on my parents. I could count on my cousins, family, friends, everyone. And that was one thing.
Yeah.
So knowing your boundaries. I knew I'm going to be away a lot.
Yeah.
I knew I'm not going to be there to see it. If I see a space, I know exactly what I need, and I know I can have it in a heartbeat in a way.
Yeah.
So that's the trust part as well. So then we booked it like months and months before, but then there wasn't a concept about like, how do I want it to look like? So September comes around, and I'm in this running a festival in the States, and I just got back from Canada. I lived in Canada for a little bit, and then I came to the States, go there, and then everything is full of hay and like all these beautiful autumn leaves, and everything is so beautiful, and I'm like, that's what we're gonna have. Like, this is the decoration. So I'm like, okay, I need to find a farmer, and I need to find pumpkins. And so this was just like kind of like how it's kind of slowly landing for me.
Yeah.
And so then I had like a week in Germany before I left again. And then there was the week after the event happened. So many things were still not really grounded in.
Yeah.
We had the concept though. So the frame was there, but how, and the ideas were there, but the how was like, okay, how do we get all of this like now? And I remember that in that moment, it was just very much like, this is how I want it. It looks beautiful. These are the colors that I need.
Yeah.
And then just randomly things just clicked. Like my mom and I would go to walk. We would drive past like thousands of pumpkins. And so we call them, like we knock on doors and like, who are these pumpkins? Like, we need them. Like, okay, cool. So we collected all of them. Like my parents had like, I don't know, 150 pumpkins in their backyard. Then the next thing, there's the farmer. So he gave us the hay. Actually, the hay was the most expensive thing, which I'm still finding like crazy, right? What the heck? Not even the catering was this expensive.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, well, I need it
so
for one
weird.
day. Can you just pick it up again? But it's fine. You know,
Okay.
just what is past.
That's the random things you were talking about in the beginning, right? You can say, oh yeah, if you want hay, it's more expensive than the catering. Like,
Yeah.
how would you know if you wouldn't have done that?
Yeah. Like, what? Hey, like I thought you borrowing that to me.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
But no. Anyways, bless him. This came along. Then I go to this running festival again, jumping out of this whole experience. Find the caterer. Yeah. At the event, people are like, oh yeah, you're Lisa, la la la. So we're talking a little bit. We have some bags. We have like 30 or something left.
Yeah.
Do you want them? And I'm like, yeah, I actually need 30 because I have 30 guests. And so that came along.
Yeah.
And so the goodie bags kind of were like filling up. And so it was just funny how everything just worked out beautifully in the right timing. So there was a deadline when everything needed to be done. I said to myself the Wednesday before the event, it needs to be done. Everything was done. Obviously Friday we had to like set it up, but everything was done and everything was there.
Yeah.
Yet I chose it in a very nourishing place for me where I could trust. So it wasn't, I'm going somewhere crazy.
Yeah.
And you see, like, still in this whole story, there's a lot on unknowns.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I have no idea what we're doing here. But there was a frame what we wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the trust that, I mean, I can hold any space, no matter where. Like, if the place would have been empty, it would have been a great experience anyways. But I have a certain standard. And a certain, standard is probably what I would call this. So I did want to have it a certain way. And that happened. And it didn't happen because I forced it to happen, because everything that we forced didn't work out. So, the pillows didn't come because da-da-da-da-da. So we had to go with the other ones, which then turned out to be very good. You know, that's why I like this story, because so much was not known. So much was last minute in a way. For many people, it would be too last minute. And for me, it was the timing, because that was the deadline I gave myself. And also the trust that it will be there on time, even if delivery, like we had a whole project, like one project manager for this event.
Yeah.
And she put me deadlines in like in August. I'm like, like I get it. I know you need this. So we obviously changed a little bit in there. But yeah. So I think this maybe describes it a lot.
Yeah.
It's like you have to have that understanding of what gives you peace.
Yeah.
What can you build on?
Yeah.
And then you build on it.
Yeah.
You don't stop. You build on this.
I think that's the perfect example of like how much peace and how much structure do I need so I have the capacity to trust. Like you cannot trust fully and not doing anything, right? No nervous system can hold that. You cannot sit there and like, oh yeah, I have an event in 2 months and I will not think about anything. But what do I need that I can trust so I'm also in alignment? You cannot be in alignment when you're constantly stressed. Right? So, and I think that's what people often don't see from the outside. You're the perfect example. People just see, oh, she's traveling, oh, she's following her intuition and what excites her and this and that, but they don't see what's going on behind the doors and where you take responsibility and where maybe moments where you just step up, you speak up, you get your shit together, you're not going somewhere. Or I think it's also important to mention what you told me yesterday, like I'm going to bed at 9. Like I'm going to bed at 8 or 9. Like you're not out there every weekend, every evening doing things. Like you do your things. You go out in nature. You listen to great things. You're journaling. You're doing all of this stuff. It's like it's your normal.
Yeah, I think that's so normal.
Right? You don't think about these things. But what is the normal for other ones?
Yeah.
When do they go to bed? How much alcohol do they drink? What people are around them? What are their habits? So they don't see that your normal is something they should maybe first work on. And that's why you can do all of these things. You cannot just do all of these things because you're Lisa or because it's just coming to you.
I'm not special. No.
Yeah, it's coming to you because you set the ground for it.
Right.
And other people would say you're very special, but you're very special. Of course, I love you so much and you're so special, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's that works for everyone.
Yeah.
That's what you want to make clear. And I think that's so important. It works for everyone if they put in the work.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I said earlier as well with like, I don't recommend my life to anyone because I don't know your system. Like, I don't know how you have worked on yourself.
Yeah.
Like someone I like recently said, people text me, right, on DMs and like, my husband and I quit my job and we're traveling now. And I'm like, holy shit, they did not. Or I got a tattoo because of you. And I'm like, oh my God, you did not. But you know, there's these kind of stories and like, I hope you know what that means.
Yeah.
Because I would never recommend it. And I've never. Yeah. So, and yes, I think I've worked, like I remember, that's like 7 years ago. I don't even remember. Well, now 8 years ago, but like where I would say 3 things that I'm grateful for in the evening before we went to bed. We would always say like, what are you grateful for today? You know, that's 8 years ago. I'm not doing this anymore, but I do say, every single day, I don't know how many times I say thank you, or I'm so grateful for this, or holy shit, did you see how colorful you look today? This is amazing. I love these colors, right? Like I'm so excited about everything in life. So gratitude has become very much my normal because it's just who I am. And I think many people also don't see that, or I don't see this. Yeah. Someone in my retreat also, I remember this last year, I would like sometimes I'm like, should I be embarrassed about this or not? I like walked through the living room and then opened the door and then there's this beautiful pool and like opened the door and I'm like, wow, what a beautiful day. And I didn't even notice that people were in the living room and like seeing me like, this is such a beautiful day. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, the sun. Like I would like literally be fully in like my me mode. Yeah. And then someone's like, this was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in a long time. Like how appreciative you are of everything. Like even like the shit stuff, like being stuck in somewhere, right? Yeah. Everywhere. I've always see that I'm very positive with everything that I see. No matter if it's a challenge, I'm like, okay, cool, let's go. Like, I don't see it as something very bad. I think it's just part. Yeah. And the good, the bad, again, thinking makes it so. What if there's no bad? What if there's no good? What if it just is?
Yeah.
And I think this is my natural state. Beingness, isness.
And it was a muscle to build that. And I think that is so important. Oh, Lisa is so positive. Lisa is so this. Lisa is so that. Everything that comes after that is because of what we do the years before.
Yes.
Right? So if you see them, oh, this person is always in a bad mood. Why? Because they focused the last years on the bad things.
Yeah.
So everything you put behind that is just a training.
Yeah.
And it's not, of course, you have some talents you get born with, or like, I think we both have a big advantage that we grew up with parents who already were like self-aware. For example, my dad was really self-aware. He put in my mind when I was small, you're always good enough. You have this little treasure inside here. No one is allowed to touch that, just you. Not even I'm allowed, you know. So I think we got it maybe planted in really early, which makes it possible for us to maybe also start a kind of business like that in our 20s. But still, it was just planted.
Yeah, I do think there's probably still something with, I mean, people who tend to have maybe more pessimistic outlook of life, or into life. I don't know how to say this. There are certain things with depression and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. So I think, yes, that's important to recognize as well and acknowledge that there are these, I mean, that we're tending to see the negatives, but generally speaking, as a humankind, we are trained to see the negatives because it kept us safer back in the good old days. Yeah. And then again comes back to training. So no matter your condition, I would not diminish it, but I would say try to train it anyways, even if we are having, and I say this with my background, and I'm not going into all of this, but I've experienced so much shit in my life, so much, especially when it comes to death. Like, it's like a constant, but that's part. And I think having a good outlook on that, and I mean, I had to grow into this. It wasn't always like this. But I think this is also something to, again, remember. It's like, Lisa, this and this, but I also share, well, there are weeks that aren't great, but that's okay. So, and I think that's what people don't get. When I say, but that's okay, they're like, oh yeah, she's always positive. No, I just say that's okay, and I sit with it. Maybe I've been sitting in nature for 5 hours before and be like singing. Like sometimes I sing mantras, sometimes I dance, sometimes I do a womb ceremony in a place. Sometimes I do so many random things that I don't even know how to share that because I write it down, because I have these intuitive hits, or whatever other people want to call these works. But so I think it's
I think because we heard so many great things about you now, and you just opened that a little. How does it look for you if you have a bad time? Like you said, you sit with it, but take us into that. What is most of the time something you feel when you're not feeling good, and how you sit with it? Because people always say, and I also always say that, like, sit with your emotions, go through it, but what does that mean in your world? Because I think a lot of people can't understand what that means. Just sit with it. Like sitting there in the room looking at the wall, what does it mean?
Yeah. So don't say that. No, don't do it. Don't. That's kind of, no. Well, maybe. But, okay, I'm trying to find, so different every single time. So again, check in with that's the check-ins. Yeah. The check-in is like, what do you need right now? And for me, nature gives me a lot. I've been a nature kid, I guess. Yeah. So I've been growing up in a little tiny town, max 900 inhabitants. So I would always walk to my aunt's down, like we were up in the hill. One aunt lived on the other side of the hill, the other one on that side. So I would always walk there instead of like my parents driving me. It was just 5 kilometers or something. Yeah. Like you just walk there half an hour, you're there. And so for me, this is like the most normal thing to do. I find a lot of answers to anything. And answers doesn't mean like there's an answer coming, or like calmness could be an answer as well, in nature. So walks, sometimes, and then being in the moment though. So that means I don't have to just relentlessly walk,
Yeah.
but that means I would walk and then there's a tree and I'm like, oh my word, you're so beautiful. And I'd stand with the tree for 10 minutes and just stand there and be like in awe. So this is like my one side, how I would deal with emotions.
Yeah.
That's very big because it's moving something.
Yeah.
What else helps me? I think different. So funny enough, I went through my photos today and I had to find something for something. And I went back to a time where I went through heartbreak and it was very hurtful. Well, it was hurtful. It was a good heartbreak, but it was unconscious, but it was hurtful. And so literally the same question came up. Now I remember.
Yeah.
And on that slide or on that picture, I wrote, well, what I did this time is I cried. And then I cried again. And then I cried again and again and again. And so it's like, oh, okay, cool. She cried. Again, everything, like whatever emotion, like emotions have different expressions. So for me, I remember also once I was angry, I never really I'm not an angry person. It takes a lot to get me angry. And I think I can recall 2 times that I was angry in my life. And one time I was like, okay, I can't, I'm a person very respectful, so I can't say anything. Yeah. So I'm leaving for now. I'm just needing 2 hours for myself. So I kind of distanced myself from the situation. It was in my business and I went into nature again. I found this beautiful stream and I started singing. And I sang probably for 10 minutes. And then there was something happening inside of me. Same goes, I would run. Just because also anger, for example, just racing until I realized, stop, Lisa. Yeah. You haven't paid attention to what's around you. You're not actually moving the emotion. You're bypassing it. So having this awareness, coming into presence again. So sit with it means cry if you need to cry. Sometimes I dance, so I dance. Sometimes I sing, so I sing. Sometimes I will shake, a lot of shaking. Like shaking is so good. Nap. I love also a good nap.
That's such a good tool that really nearly no one does.
Yeah.
Just go for sleep for 1 hour and the world is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cold showers, ice bath helps me a lot. Water exposure helps me a lot. Yeah. Cold brings me back to the ground. If I go to the ocean, but that's a different emotion that then is being ignited inside of me. So I think again, it's like really feel what you feel, what emotions is there, and where do you want to move towards, and then you follow that impulse.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
And then, I don't want to say I'm not a big journaler, but I write a lot. I don't see my things as a journal in a way. I draw sometimes. I have just some words sometimes. Sometimes I, as I said, like only dates and then 3 time. So because sometimes I've been traveling to like 5 countries in 2 weeks. Yeah. So just to keep track of where I was, so I can remember. Yeah. But yeah, so in these moments, like a lot of like grounding, moving the body. So with everything that I said right now, bringing that together, it's like when you feel emotions coming up, it's about using these emotions and bringing them back into motion, energy in motion. We don't want to get stuck in a state, so we want to move them. Not just like, again, mindlessness, but with mindfulness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And because I also love so much your creative side, and it's also something we have in common, like we write a lot and we can express a lot of what we feel, also what people feel in words. I think that's why we're also doing our job. But what is something recently that you wrote in your journal or you draw that just comes to your mind, what you would like to share with us?
Oh, wow. I have so much.
I'm sure you could have brought like 10 books and like every page would be like, I think, or I mean, I know what kind of things you're writing or like what thoughts come to your mind, but I think that what comes up now is something that people should hear now that are listening.
Okay. Because it's funny because what I write in them now, I would have probably never, ever believed 10 years ago. So again, evolution makes it so. Like it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Many things we write, well, what I access now,
Yeah.
I didn't have access to 5 years ago, you know,
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
So that's as well. There are different concepts that I also shared with. Like I also write down concepts. So I write very poetic, and then I write concepts that I understood about the human psyche. And one thing that I found very interesting is it came through with like a client dynamic as well. If a stranger can make you feel so excited about a potential future that you haven't even lived, then you might as well use the same energy that you generated through that, let's say, encounter, and point it towards your dreams and your goals. Because again, we're energetic beings, and using that is just like, it was like an aha moment again for me. It's like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Why don't we all do that?
Yeah.
Like we all building these mind illusions so often. And in that example of what, let's say dating,
Yeah.
for example, seeing someone like, oh my God.
It activates something. Like you can be on the couch and like for 3 days you don't have energy, and this person is texting like, oh, meeting tonight. Boom, you have this energy, like everything's flowing, and you're like the fastest ever. Like, and this energy, right? How can someone else activate that, but you can't?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and that's the magic. Now understanding that, it's like, oh, I can just translate, like use that energy. It's like, oh, I'm in that energy space now. So I might as well just use this on what's important to me.
Yeah.
So that was one of those concepts. And there's so many more concepts. But yeah, I think also what I write a lot about in this moment in time is about, I mean, the obvious fact we are all one, and the obvious fact to me, we're all each other's mirror. You are me, I'm you. And also timelines. I write a lot about timelines, how to timeline jump, how to be in the quantum field. And that's the more the spacey stuff that I write a lot about.
If someone doesn't know what a timeline is and what jumping a timeline means, how would you describe that?
I believe that we are in this one universe right now, the reality that we're seeing right now, but I believe that there are many, many parallel universes, many, many timelines. So everything that we've started once, it's running on a different timeline. And we have the power to change the timelines. We have the power to jump in a different timeline. Yeah. And that's something that I'm experiencing and also experimenting with. So everything that I've shared today, everything that I share online, it's usually I have this experiment with myself in this human experience. Because to me, this is like, it's gold. Like we actually have a chance to do anything in our lifetime. Yeah. If we know how. And I don't want to, you said lightness. Yes, I'm all in for ease and effortlessness. And I think it can be that easy. Yeah. And that means to be able to trick, and it comes down with structure, discipline, devotion, like all the things, like very masculine. Like in order to be that easeful, again, we need this. So in the timeline, I would say it's just like the lens through which you see reality right now, and then understanding there's another timeline, which is, for example, your future timeline. Yeah. But it's all happening at the same time. So it's a different concept of time as well, which I don't think that we have time today for. But there's a whole other, like, I guess, conversation on that. Yeah. So I think that's what excites me at the moment. Write about a lot, trying that, implementing this with my clients. So even though they might not have the access yet to all the information, that's why you get a mentor. I'm trying to simplify it for them that
Yeah.
they can just try it without necessarily knowing that they're doing it. And then they're
Yeah.
building up the trust.
Yeah.
So bringing that back to what we started with, that's kind of what I do with my clients at the
Yeah.
moment as well a lot. It's
Yeah.
like having them physically feel what a timeline jump
Yeah.
feels like, and then building the trust so that they do it more often. And then time is just literally such an illusion. Same
Yeah.
with money and stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's something really important. Like some things you first have to feel so you can understand them.
Yes.
Like we could talk maybe 3 hours about the timeline shift.
It's awesome.
It was also like when I heard it the first time, I tried to understand it with my mind,
Yeah.
but I could understand it when it happened. It was like there was a timeline shift. So first you maybe hear it, but with the experience you will know. Like this is not something you can really explain on a mind level, right? What helped me to understand it more or less was like, if you think something takes 5 years, for example, and people tell you this and this takes 5 years, but you can achieve it quicker, but not because you do more, it's because you can shift the timeline. But how do you shift the timeline? For me, it's like I'm already becoming the person that is on that timeline, right? So, and then suddenly you sit in a field. Like this is also a moment where I feel like, yeah, this is like a glitch somewhere, because like if you told me that a year ago, that I left my company, all of these things we were talking about, it's like, that's not possible in like a few months, but it is, right? People told me when I was leaving my company, it was like November, December, they were like, you cannot launch a complete new program on that level and that quality you did back then in 8 weeks. And I did it, and everything, all the quality was better than before. So it was for me like I was becoming another version. And so all of this suddenly was possible, because on that other timeline, it is possible. On the other timeline, yes, it wasn't. But with this other version, in this other timeline, it is.
Yeah.
And everything's quicker.
Yeah.
So we're soon coming to an end, and I like always to ask this question. What question I didn't ask you that you wish that I asked? Because often we're asking out of our perception, right? Like I'm asking you from Tiffany to Lisa what I think is exciting, what maybe for the listeners is important. What is a question that maybe there's none, but I want to open the space. Is there a question that you think is important to put in that room? That we maybe don't even have to answer, or you don't even have to answer, but maybe is there a question that should close the loop we have today?
There's something coming, which is maybe interesting, maybe not. Well, first I think we got into a lot of different topics. We spoke about intuition, heart voice. We spoke about mind voice. We spoke about how I lived my life until now, and I only shared 1%. Time. And then we talked about timeline jumping, quantum physics. There's so much more I could say, and there are so many more questions that I could raise in a way. But maybe it could be interesting for our listeners to know, like, okay, is there a moment in time that you didn't listen to your intuition? What happened? Is there like maybe something like this, or even like now you shared with you what a timeline shift in your life was, like what was it for you? How did it kind of manifest in your life? Is it the same? Is it different? So I think, especially with like perceptions, it's like often this part of like, okay, this was that for me, how was it for you?
Would you be able to give us a short answer to that? Because I think that's really important, that maybe we get a little glimpse in like, how was that for you? Like, do you have one example for us where you didn't listen to your intuition? And maybe one example where you switch timelines?
Yeah.
I think that's such a good, that's why I love this question, because then the best things are coming
First
out.
I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so quick answer to the
Yeah.
first one with intuition. Yes. I actually did with a collaboration. I've never talked publicly about it. I'm going to do it now a bit. So someone I wanted to work with and collaborate with, doing mastermind and a retreat together. We kind of like put it all up. We sold it as well. And it felt there was always like a 1% to 5% off, where like, why does it feel so like an effort in a way? And I thought it would be very easy and simple to work with her, because she seemed from the outside, and that's the next thing, she seemed from the outside very light and very trusting. But the more I got to know her, the more I was like, oh wow, no, she's very controlling actually. Well, I don't want to put this in any word, but like not as trusting, not as easygoing. And so we had many talks, and then there were signs of like, oh, there are snakes, and there, like, I was in South Africa at the time. We had a house together. Out of a sudden, there are spiders everywhere, snakes, scorpions. And I'm like, how did I not see like the big dangerous signs of like all these 3 dead and like literally? How did I not? But I did, and I noticed, and I note them down for myself. But we still kept going, and I think 4 days, like a week before the retreat happened, she basically not disappeared, but she's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I hosted a retreat alone, because everyone already booked their flights to Spain. So I'm like, okay, of course I'm going to go. Yeah. And so I think that definitely felt, I think looking now back, it wasn't about, it was about me not listening to my gut 100%. Ever since, I have never done anything that has felt less than 100%. I'm like so particular about it now. And the second one is like, I think I was more disappointed in myself not listening to it. Because I knew. You know, And so that definitely was something where I was kind of shocked, like, fuck, that actually did not go well. Because, and ultimately, of course it did not go well. So that was a realization. Second thing about the timeline shift. I think, there are many examples. I think one with the farm, with my vision of the hotel. And again, I want to put this out there. I don't know if it's going to work, all that, but I'm stepping into a bigger vision with physical spaces. I think that's kind of what it is. But I wrote it all down. So this vision came before. I'm going to leave this there. The vision came before, and then I wrote it down, and I made this beautiful kind of collage. Wrote down boutique hotel, Kid you not, the next day, I was staying at my host dad's. So I used to live in America with family. So I stayed there just to say hi. And he had a friend over from Hawaii. And so this friend, she's like, he didn't know who I was. And he was like, oh, you studied here? Yeah, blah, blah. He's like, I don't know why, but I need to talk to you later.
I think you told me that.
Could be, yeah. I'm like, okay. Well, turns out we have coffee afterwards at some point. And he's like, hey, Lisa, so I don't know why I'm sharing this with you, but I'm building this hotel, boutique hotel, actually, in Hawaii, or in Costa Rica, actually. He was from Hawaii, but in Costa Rica. And I feel like you are the soul of the mission. And I sat there, like, I like legit laugh in front of this man. I'm like, right. Yeah. Like, did you read my journal? Or like, I don't know what's the joke, like, come out, camera, right? Like, I had so many of these moments. And I think especially with this example, and I thought about it and I was like, no, this does not feel right. We're back in this intuition thing. It's like, it didn't feel right. So I'm like, hell no. And the night after, I dreamt of South Africa. So I Googled South Africa. And then the farm that I used to stay at after my breakup and moving to South Africa, that farm where I said, this is going to be my home for the next week and a half, to calm down, to find my ground again after like 6 years of being with someone, just like being with myself, grieving, all the things. You're going to be my home, my nurturing home. that farm was for sale. And I'm like, holy smokes, what? And so moving to today, I'm still talking with the land owners and property owners and all the things. It's like this loop hasn't been closed, so I can't share the end of it yet. But there's so much about this that's been very magically falling into place. Even like the investors that I've met in so many beautiful ways. And yet again, I've consistently said no because something felt off. So I'm in this I'm in this dance, I would say, with the timeline here. And it's about me and again realizing, okay, what is within me that I am yet not embodying, so that I can hold 16 hotels. Like, because I used to think that that's too big. So in order for me to have that capacity, I need to raise up to that capacity. So, and that's my boot camp that I'm doing right now, right? I'm becoming that version. So you shared that as well. And then there are other things that I think with timeline I experienced, like just being out in I have I can be in a meditation, but I'm out and I'm in a different land. So this is a different type of timeline, which I think we should not go into today.
Then we need another 5 hours.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. I think that was perfect to understand, to really get an understanding of what you're talking about if someone didn't experience what you were experiencing. So now we're coming to the last question that I always ask. What do you wish should be, because we're at the True Me podcast, what do you wish should become a truth of our society? What kind of truth would make society better? Because they're already now, of course, we all have many truths that we get taught, right? So a lot of them are not really helpful. There are some that are helpful. Which would you wish that is implemented more in people from your point of view?
Oh my word, I've thought about this a lot. I have so many. I think the truth is there's no such thing as self-worth. We all talk about we need to be more worthy. But if the truth is you are good enough anyways, you're born it. A lot of the things would ripple in a very different way for us. We would be bolder. We would be more courageous. We would go for the things that we want to go for because there's no parameter, whatever it's called, to whether we could do it, whether we're worthy of it, whether we are capable of doing it. Because self-worth, I don't understand the concept of it. Why do I have to work on my worthiness when all I am is worth? I am worthy. Right? There's no such thing than that. And you can't measure it with money. You can't measure it with anything. And that brings back the core truth that we are individually ourselves. And that's perfect. And I think that, to me, should be a truth, that there's no such thing than self-worth or anything.
I love that. Thank you so much, Liza, for all your insights. I knew that will be a very inspiring podcast, maybe also with some things that in the first moment people cannot fully understand, but I think we planted a lot of seeds today.
That's what I'm good at.
I know. That people, that can grow in people. I think that's one of your things, that you can give people something that they didn't even know they need, or they should think about, or they should look into. So thank you so much for your wisdom.
Thank you for having me. It was such an interesting conversation. I'm like, what did we talk about?
I don't know. It was like...
Yes, I think also that's exactly what, with the planting seeds. Whatever, what I've gotten as feedback with many people, it's these are transmissions, and you have to listen to them multiple times in order to get them. And years later, I get messages, now I got it. Now I got what you were saying in that. And I think open up the space and I said this at some point, very intentional with what I'm sharing, especially with a podcast, or not intentional in a way. I'm like, I'm not God, like you can ask me any question. I'm so open with about everything and anything. But it's about the way that I share it, because everything leads to openness. And that's my intention with this. Because I want your heart to be open. I want you to feel so good in who you are. And that's why I think also the way that we planted seeds today leads to you are good enough. You don't need to be anyone else but you. And your intuition is good enough too. And your intuition might lead yourself to a different life than anyone else. But that does not mean that this is better or worse than the other.
Yeah.
It's just so. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And also thank you for coming into my life and making it better. I really appreciate you. We always say that a lot, but I think again today, I mean, you're flying tonight. I know it's like a lot is also going on for you, that you took the time today. And I think that's really, I don't know how long we spoke, I think nearly 2 hours. That will be 2 hours that really change lives. And thank you all for listening or watching. And please comment below if you have any questions. I also will put everything down in the description, how you can follow Liza, maybe some PDF or whatever it is. We will just check whatever we can put for you. And we see each other next week again at the True Me podcast. And if you liked this episode, please, wherever you see or watch it, like, subscribe, or give like a 5-star review, because I want to give you access to all the people that I have access to, no matter where I am in this world, renting out podcast studios, so to give you really access to a new world, to a new life, and especially to your truth, to your true me. So that's how you can support it. And see you next week to a new episode on The Truth Thursday for another episode of the True Me podcast.